Hello and welcome to another edition of the Stench of Truth. The topic of discussion is snitching. Let's get one thing clear here. We live in a fucking surveillance society, okay? We already have the government, our employers, and big businesses snooping into every fucking nook and cranny of our lives. And yet, there is a culture of snitching on our fellow human beings. People who live in our fucking communities. Our so-called friends and so-called neighbors and so-called co-workers. Not only is there a culture of snitching, but the powers that be want to use this as a way to wedge people apart. This is another way to keep people from being organized and fighting the real fucking oppressors, the government, the corporations, and all of those other people that we have no fucking control over, who snoop and neb into every fucking business that we have. Right here in the United States, you have in Florida, Operation Bright Eyes it's called, where the cable company is training its cable installation people to be on the lookout for suspicious activity. What the fuck suspicious activity are they looking out for? I'm sure they're going to run right back and turn in anybody that they see that they just don't happen to like very much. Or maybe they don't keep their house as well appointed as they think it should be. And here we have a raft of examples from the United Kingdom. And you can guarantee anything that happens in Great Britain, it's coming here. Because that's like the test fucking bed for everything that happens in this country. It happens in England first. They turned into a fucking surveillance state, and we're turning into one now. They have all kinds of programs for you to snitch. You got, here's one. Nosy neighbors offered £500 in rewards by council to spy on their neighbors. Here's another one. A council was caught snooping into families' trash bins to see who was recycling what and whether they were living up to the standards. Here you have another one. You think your neighbors might be crooks just because they happen to have some high-end luxury items? Turn them in and get cash rewards if they go on to be prosecuted. It's another one. Parents got to sign behavior contracts in England for their children. When they attend school, they have to have a certain level of behavior. If they don't, they get fined. Well, that's bad enough, and that's something for another topic. But just to ease the mind of all those people who just go along, there's a mechanism to rat on your other fucking families around you who are getting away with it. What's the problem here? Snitching is a way to divide us. This is something we should be opposed to in every fucking way that it comes to us. Because it is division. Most of these things, most of them, have no bearing on your life at all. Yes, we all know right from fucking wrong. We're not children. And yet, speaking of children, they have programs in place to have children rat on their parents and rat on their fucking friends. So they're taught at a very early age. Snitching, it gets you ahead. Or so you would think. This is all divisive. And it has absolutely nothing to do with your personal fucking life. You want your personal space and your privacy respected, then start respecting the privacy of others. And you can begin right here on YouTube. And stop with the ridiculous fucking flagging of things that you just don't happen to agree with. You don't like it? Don't fucking watch it. Don't put that other person underneath a fucking microscope and maybe get their channel suspended just because you don't agree with something they say? And anytime you see something going on around you that isn't something you know to be wrong, I suggest to you that you do not become a fucking snitch and further divide the fucking community. Instead, we should be banding together against the forces that we can't control, and that is the fucking government and the corporations who spy on us in many, many ways. So don't be a fucking snitch. Don't buy into it. Thank you. Good night.
Don't be a snitch. Don't be a snitch. There are campaigns popping up all over against snitching. There was a campaign that came out of Maryland a couple of years ago called Don't Be a Snitch, where they made t-shirts and sold them on street corners, encouraging residents not to turn each other in. Rappers quickly adapted this new campaign, and of course the media put a spin on it and basically called it eyewitness intimidation. But was it really? Was it really? Or was it a community coming together saying, you're not going to pit us against each other? Whosarat.com, which lists informants and snitches on a website. They use court documents and public records to expose people who turn other people in. The White House currently has a campaign asking for people to snitch on their friends and family, their relatives, their neighbors, anyone currently opposing Obama's health care plan, by turning them in to the White House. I'll leave all these links over on the sidebar so you can check out some of these stories and websites out for yourself. But one really has to go back to asking, what have we become as a culture, as a society? What are we allowing ourselves to become? Have we become a society of snitching, snitchers, rats, people who tattletale, people who will turn each other in? Are you a snitch?